Good evening, folks, and welcome back to day number 56 of the Bible in 365. Today we are taking a look at Deuteronomy chapter 4, beginning in verse 1, and exploring all the way till Deuteronomy chapter 6, ending in verse 15. You all know the drill. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so picking up today in Deuteronomy chapter 4. Within Deuteronomy chapter 4, we're learning about obedience. So essentially, at this point in time, Moses is telling the congregation of Israel about the decrees and the laws that were given by the Lord, and how these decrees and laws will set them apart from other nations. And other nations will take a look and say that the Lord God is near to the Israelites. Within this chapter, within chapter 4, it emphasizes that idolatry is forbidden, not just now, but into the future. It's very important that carved images, cast images, any type of idolatry is completely forbidden, and that it doesn't arise as it has a tendency to do, especially when they're influenced by other nations. And this ultimately is because the Lord is God. And in verses 32 through 40, there's a reminder to the Israelites to keep the commands of the Lord God, the God who created them. He created the heavens and the earth. And so here, when it's describing God, it's saying that He is the one who created everything and then brought you out of Egypt. And He has done all these miraculous things. He's everything. He's the uncreated being. He's the one that we owe everything to. And so you need to keep His decrees and His commands. So things that go well with you and your children and the children after them, so your descendants, and that way you will prosper within the land that the Lord is giving to you. At this point in time, Moses then sets up 3 cities of refuge on the east side of the Jordan River to the east of Jericho. And these are cities of refuge for unintentional killing. And one of these is in Bezer, which is a wilderness plateau, and that's for the Reubenites. There's Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites, which is that half tribe of Manasseh. Now, moving forward to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Now, within Deuteronomy chapter 5, Moses summons all of Israel, and he reiterates to them the 10 Commandments. And the greatest of that being that the Lord said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. And then it also reemphasizes idolatry, respecting the name of the Lord, and so on and so forth. And Moses reminds them that these commandments were given, and the Lord proclaimed these in a loud voice before the congregation of Israel, the whole assembly. And there was a mountain of fire, if you guys remember reading this. And there was a cloud in the deep darkness, and nothing more. And the Lord wrote on the stone tablets and gave them to Moses. And so they see the glory of the Lord, and they're not consumed by it. And so Moses is reminding the Israelites the importance of doing what the Lord has commanded them to do. And he says this, do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess. And so here, chapter 5 ends very similarly to chapter 4. Moving forward to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Within Deuteronomy chapter 6 is the famous Shema. And I absolutely love this. It's the Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Elonai Echad. It's the Hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And then in verse 5, it's the Va'abahata et Adonai Elohecha Bechol Levavacha. It's the love the Lord your God with all your hearts. Ubahal Napseha, and with all your soul. Ubahal Modehach, and with all your strength. So it's so poetic, but yet it's also a command to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And what I love about this passage in particular is it goes on to say, it says, impress them on your children. It says, talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you get up. Mark them as symbols on your hand. Bind them on your foreheads. And it's essentially saying, do everything you have to do to remember the Lord your God. It's these tokens. It's these signs of remembrance that are going to point you back to who the Lord your God is. In verse 13, it says, fear the Lord your God, serve him only, and takes oaths in his name. Do not follow other gods or the gods of people around you, for the Lord your God who is among you is a jealous God, and his anger will burn against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the land. It is here with this idea that the Lord deserves all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our strength. He wants all of us. It's an unadulterated love. It's a love that says, it is you and you alone that I will worship. And so God says you can't serve two masters. You can't serve the things of this world. You can't serve other gods. You can't serve money. You can't serve belongings. You can't serve stuff. You can't serve the gods of the other people. It's me and me alone. That is because ultimately, if you believe that God is who he says he is, then you believe that he is enough and you don't need anything else. If you have any questions about that, please reach out. I would love to share with you. I would love to listen and hear your thoughts as well. And so, folks, I love this passage. And I can't wait until we continue to dive deeper into Deuteronomy chapter 6 tomorrow. I hope you will join me. We're going to take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, picking up in verse 16. And we're going to explore all the way to Deuteronomy chapter 9, ending in verse 21. As always, folks, God bless.